Welcome to Figure Eight, where we feature inspiring stories of women entrepreneurs who have grown their businesses to 7 and 8 figures revenue. If you're in the mix of growing a bigger business, these stories are for you. Join us as we explore where the tough spots are, how to overcome them, and how to prepare yourself for the next portion of the climb. I'm your host, Julie Ellis. I'm an author, entrepreneur, and a growth and leadership coach who co-founded, grew, and exited an 8-figure business. This led me to exploring why some women achieve great things. And that led to my book, Big Gorgeous Goals. Let's explore the systems, processes, and people that help us grow our businesses to new heights. If you're interested in growing your business, this podcast will help. Now, let's get going. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Figure Eight podcast. Today, I'm sending a big welcome to Kristy Miller. A little background on Kristy. She's the founder of The Scented Market, where she recognized a need in the market for at-home self-care. And she's created products like scented soy candles, room sprays, bath salts, and, well, really, the list goes on. I love that these products are eco-friendly and they're made with really high quality ingredients. She has a great recycling program in her stores, and she's building a candle empire. I'm super excited to talk to her today. Welcome, Kristy.
Thanks so much for having me, Julie.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you today. And I wanted to start off with having you tell me a little bit about your journey to this business and your journey with entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. I think my entrepreneurial career began back in university. I was finished high school and I went to university to become a nurse. And I completed my entire first year. And then I had this epiphany where I was like, I don't know if my heart can handle this. And I'm not sure that I want to work shift work and weekends and work the hours that the career demands. But back, 20 years ago, entrepreneurship was definitely not romanticized like it is today. And I was actually viewed upon as a failure because I dropped out of university. I was a failure. I was going to amount up to nothing. And why ever could I even imagine that working for myself would be considered successful? So my journey started off a little bit rough and not exactly the feedback that I got from my friends and my family that I wanted. But thank goodness I had a boyfriend and now my loving husband in my corner 100% of the way.
Thank you. That's amazing and so interesting that you met with that sort of resistance and people saying you're a failure. I mean, did that light a fire underneath you?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Every time someone told me that I couldn't do it or I was a woman, I didn't belong in the industry, that really was the fire in my belly that I needed to prove them wrong and to prove to not only myself and my family, but like just to society in general that I could be an entrepreneur, I could make a living out of it. And honestly, I could just have personal happiness and do what I wanted to do in my life, living it the way I wanted to, and not necessarily the way everyone else thought I should live it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's something that really resonates with me around, the idea of wanting that control over the pieces. So being able to control what you do with them and what you want in life.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a choice that I made. Like I was going to endure the hardship and the social stigma of dropping out of university to take a major risk, which 20 years later I think has paid off.
Yes, I think so. I'm curious about how you started this business, the scented market, because you had a very successful business already before you started this.
Yeah, I was running a seven-figure food business that I had built literally from the ground up. And I was able to take a break from the day to day. And we were a growing family at that time. I just had our third boy, and I felt like, what are we like? I am the main provider of bringing everything into the home. I bring the groceries into the home, I bring the cleaning products, I bring all the products into the home. And I thought, what are we eating? What are the ingredients in that? And what am I cleaning with? What are the ingredients in that? And then, honestly, Julie, I looked up at my ceiling and saw all this black soot and thought, I've never considered like what type of candles I was bringing into the home, and I was burning around my pets and around my young children, and it sort of sent me spiraling into this rabbit hole of what kind of ingredients are in them, and also, can I find a candle that I love and that's beautiful that I can also multi-purpose as part of my home decor? Because let's face it, I was a woman who, took care of myself, took care of my family, took care of my home, and I really loved a quality product, but also like a beautiful product that I could display in my home.
And so you began.
And I made my very first candle 5 years ago on my kitchen stove, and all of a sudden, my friends and my family were like, "Whoa, what's going on here? What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know, but it's gonna be something fun." And honestly, 5 years later, never in my wildest imagination did I ever think I would be running a multi-million dollar candle organization, and, really just having fun all along the way.
Yeah, and you have physical stores as well as selling your product online.
Yeah, we have four physical store locations. There are our flagship store is in Guelph, Ontario, and then we have a store in Fergus, Ontario, downtown beautiful Niagara on the Lake, Ontario, and then not too long ago we opened a store in the Blue Mountain Village in Ontario. And our online store is still hustling and bustling. We're chatting around Black Friday, and we're going through all that Black Friday madness, but definitely our online store is our busiest.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me a little bit about how you built the team that's around you to help you grow this business.
I think I recognized very quickly that I couldn't do this journey alone. And I learning from everything I did wrong in my first business, really I was able to have an advantage of not to make that mistake the second time around. So I knew quickly that I needed to build a team, and I needed to build a team of really knowledgeable people and people that really thought about the wellness of the brand and put the brand first. And people who knew more than me. I never ever hire anyone who knows less than I know. You have to know more than I know, or know something, or be an expert in a field that I am not in, for you to join my team. And I think that just really like sets a standard of the quality of people that work for us. But also, I wanted to make sure that the team I was building felt valued and felt like they had input on the day to day, the year to year building of the brand. And I think that really pays off in the long run.
And how has the team sort of shifted as the business has grown from you at your kitchen stove to four stores and now a dedicated production space and all of the things that come with that?
I think the team has shifted in really great ways. I mean, I don't ever feel bad about outgrowing someone or outgrowing an individual. I mean, the truth is, we're all learning and growing as we build our businesses on a day to day basis. What you have to be okay with as an entrepreneur, as a boss, is recognizing those moments when you've outgrown a team member or you've outgrown a strategy in your business to be able to give you that boost to the next level. So, people, employees, mentors, business coaches have come in and out of my life, and it's not been a negative experience. It's been a really positive experience because they were put in my life, or I believe they were put in my life to teach me something at the time that I was meant to need that in my life. And then like the seasons, they too shall pass, and I should meet really great, inspiring people on my next journey or in the next season of my business.
From where it really came from. Okay, yeah. And as those seasons change, what do you find the hardest? What's tripped you up that you didn't think would be a hard season?
I think it's just not knowing what you don't know already. So there's lots of times where I walk into a room or a meeting or I just have a coffee with someone and I was like, okay, tell me the things I don't know that I need to know. And maybe not necessarily knowing what the right questions are to ask, but putting it out there, taking a chance, taking a shot on saying, hey, I'm not an expert in this. What do I need to know about it? I think there's something so humbling about being in, that kind of situation and just recognizing that, I don't know everything. And, what I rely on experts in my life and sometimes random people too to just teach me the things that I don't even know that I should know.
Yes, some days the light bulb turns on above you and you're like, huh, I didn't know I needed to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like, why didn't I think of that?
Totally. Yes, that's another good one. And so, what have been some of the big struggles that you've overcome as you've built to this level?
So interestingly enough, I like to put a twist on struggles, and I like to put a twist on the word struggle, maybe. So I think before anything enters my aura, my energy, my space, I immediately turn the struggle or the negative into a positive. So let me break that down. Lots of negative things happen on a daily basis, on a yearly basis as I'm growing the business. But what I like to do is that as soon as it hits my bubble, it flips to a negative like, okay, this happened to me. How can I change it into a learning and growing experience? And what did I learn from it to not make that mistake again? So, for instance, a person came into my bubble. She was at the time exactly what I needed. She taught me lots of things about building the business, building the brand, and building the sales. Now, in hindsight, I really wish I could have hung on to her and I really wish she could have stayed with the company. I didn't want to lose her. It wasn't a choice I was able to make. But I look at that struggle and, like, okay, it's not a struggle, it's a what can I do to retain employees longer? What could I have done with this particular employee? Yes, it's too late now, but what can I do with employees moving on in the future so that when I know that I need them or they're really beneficial to the brand, how can I keep them and what does that look like? But like, what are the conversations I can have before it gets to that point? How are you today? Is there anything I can provide you with to help you grow in your role? Where do you see your role in a year from now? All of those things I've learned through the experience or the struggle to think that I can do so much better moving forward in the future.
I love that framing because I think you could get to wallowing in your struggles some days as an entrepreneur. And it's true that often, your example of people is a really good one. You can't save what was, but you can change what will be.
Absolutely. And I think just like saying it out loud and recognizing it, like, okay, I screwed up with this person or I screwed up with this decision. I made a bad financial decision. But like, it's not necessarily a bad financial decision because it is going to teach you some sort of lesson, which you have to spin into like a positive growth mindset attitude. Or else you're right, you can dwell on it. You can, fall into a slump with it. But you just have to really turn that corner really quickly and use it as a learning experience and move forward immediately from that. There's been times where people say to me, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky you built a seven-figure business in under 5 years." That's not luck. That's a lot of hard work. That's a lot of behind the scenes conversations happening on a daily basis. But the ability to see, okay, we're doing this wrong or we're going down the wrong path, but let's not make it a negative and dwell on it. Let's turn it into a positive. I'm coming back full circle to that positive growth mindset and how fast we can get out of that slump and move forward into, something even more amazing than we had even anticipated.
Yeah. And so what's next? What are the next big changes that you need to make in the business? Or the question I'm thinking of is what's your biggest struggle on the horizon?
I think the biggest struggle for us, or like the biggest growth move, is I love being Canadian. I love living in Canada. But at some point I felt like I was capped in Canada. Just mainly due to our size. Really nothing that anyone's done, but just our size. I would love to make a huge push into the States. And I'm looking at 2026 because the struggle with that is making sure all the legalities are in place, the trademarks, the copyrights, the paperwork, the tax business account. Like there's so much, being able to just say, oh, we're going to move into the States, that comes with a lot of underlying issues that we need to legally and financially work through before we're able to accomplish that. And I think being in such a fast growth mindset, there's been multiple opportunities in the last year of like, this is your way to get into the States, or this is, people have approached me, oh, sign with this influencer. They are huge in the States. And I've had to, like, unfortunately say no, but not because I don't love that influencer or that company, because the scented market and the brand is not ready to make that move yet. And I didn't want to race or rush into something to not do it. Now, contradictory to my, I'm able to move fast. I'm able to move fast, but you still need to make sure you have the legal and the financial things set before you're able to make that leap.
Yeah, and moving to another country is not a small leap. Opening up those markets, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always live by the motto of dream a size too big and then grow into it. So I'm always dreaming of these wild things, but then, I put it out to the universe. I put it in the subconscious mindset, and then it just comes to fruition, not by luck, but by hard work.
Definitely. Yeah. I think of all the things that come with a project like that. And it's also having the right amount of time to plan it and do it well, not half baked. And you don't want to be doing a toe dip and use an influencer and then you can't really deliver on the promise or the product or you have problems. You don't want it like that.
Absolutely, and I'm definitely one for, like, not like, it doesn't have to be perfect to get it to the market, but, like, you have to make sure that you're doing your due diligence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm getting the picture of how you really want to set yourself up for success in every way you possibly can before you go there.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, I definitely have to applaud you and give you a big pat on the back because through your book, Big Gorgeous Goals, I've really thought about like what my 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year goals are, what retirement looks like for me. It's really like through reading your book, it's really opened up my mindset to like, man, I should start planning maybe an exit strategy 20 years from now, but like putting that in my universe and in my mindset to be able to grow, but like in the right direction.
It's like having those puzzle pieces laid out on the table for you to play with as you start figuring out where you're going and to also revisit the goals.
Absolutely. It's like, someone gives you a tool. It's up to you whether you use it or take advantage of it or not. And if you choose not to, okay, but that's on you.
What's one thing you're looking for in your business right now that you're looking for help with to help lever yourself forward in the next 3 to 6 months?
Oh my goodness, that's a fantastic question. You know what? I'm always looking for what are the things taking up my time that I don't need to be doing that I could be delegating to someone else. And I think I've just hit the realization that I could probably use a VA. The fact that I don't have a VA already is mind blowing to some business people, but I just feel like I've always, right from the inception of the scented market, been very hands on, been very vocal. So I think I would love to move to a founder and creative director role instead of a founder and CEO role.
Oh, that's an interesting transition.
Yes, it's a whole other conversation.
It's fascinating though, because that is big. It's a big change, but one that, if that's where your true gifts lie in the creative direction and the dreaming up of the products and the marketing, and all of those places, then it will probably be somewhere that you can sustain yourself really well for the long term.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And interestingly enough, I was on Dragon's Den last year. It's our Canadian Shark Tank. And I actually pitched to the Dragons for an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, TV slims that down to 5 minutes. But what I kept hearing from all six of them over and over and over again was, you're basically like the next Martha Stewart. And all I could think of at the time was, didn't she go to jail for tax evasion? I should really look more into her. And so that's really resonated with me because maybe my passion is not in like a CEO role of the day-to-day operations of the build of the business. But you're right, my zone of genius is the creative, is the face of the brand. So I've really like taken the last 6 months to, like, for lack of a better word, noodle that. I'm noodling that option, and I really like the way it's sounding, but also I um I also accept that that would come with a lot of challenges and a lot of changes, which people in general are just not excited about sometimes. But I think it's a conversation to be had for sure.
I think it's interesting because at Mabel's Labels, when we reached the seven figures and we were climbing up towards eight, it's where I started to be like, oh, I kind of didn't sign up for this part of the job. Or I didn't know the job would look like this when I had 30 employees, 40 employees, 50 employees. Like it really, really changes from, the dream, and from, in some cases, my case, the dream we had in a basement of making labels for moms who needed their kids' stuff to come home to them. That is very different than leading an IT team of which I had no experience. So I think it's a real time when we start to ask ourselves questions about what we really want.
And I think that that should not be frowned upon. I think that should really be like a shining North Star in every entrepreneur's life. Like, really ask yourself the questions and reflect on, like, what this could mean for you, or, what this next chapter, next challenge could bring you. And recognizing that as your business grows from 7 to 8 figures, or maintain at 7 figures, really, is like, are you happy? Is this what you wanted? I always swore that the day I wasn't happy doing this is my last day at the company. So I always want to make sure that I set myself and I set my team up for success.
Yes, I think it's a great point. And so, what do you mean? We've talked already about some of your biggest dreams or the big dreams that you're chasing, but what are some of the biggest dreams you would have if everything you can imagine came true for the scented market and Kristy Miller?
Yeah, I think definitely moving into a creative director role and not so much hands-on day to day is definitely like a goal that I would have for, say, like the next 10 years. What retirement looks like for me, I'm, I really, I really struggle with finding a business coach or a business mentor. So, I mean, a business mentor maybe is not someone you pay, but this is just willing to do mentorship, versus a business coach, which is someone you can pay up to thousands of dollars a year. So I feel like I struggle finding this role. And so I think, when my time frees up, I would love to give back and maybe do some business coaching myself. And, but coming from a place of experience, like, hi, I'm Kristy Miller. I've had 2 7-figure businesses grown from scratch. So, like, relying on my experience, but not necessarily my business school degree, and also giving back. I built this business so that I could position myself to give back. I do a lot of mentorship through our local business center where I volunteer to mentor business or entrepreneurs. And I love going to I speak at the University of Guelph, which, woo woo university. I speak at their entrepreneurship class, and I love going into high schools to speak at their entrepreneurship class, because I feel like there's something so real about an average mom making a multi 7-figure business out of candles. When you think about it, you could get up right now and go to your local craft store and buy a candle making kit. But like the ability to turn that into, a seven-figure business is like next level. And so I really don't think I saw my own value for a long time because I just thought it was normal that when you're an entrepreneur, you built a seven-figure business. And then, I was able to sell my first corporation and negotiate a successful exit to build my next seven-figure corporation. So it just felt like, doesn't everybody do that? And so I'm very quickly learning that no, not everyone does that. It's a very like unique type of person. And I'm really starting to see the value in myself.
I'm thinking about your comments around business coaches and what's out there. What do you wish for that you were never able to find? And what do you think it is that's missing?
I think there's something different about I've always find myself in this gray zone. So like I am retail and I am manufacturing, which makes me both, which puts me in this gray zone. I am a brand product and I put myself on social media as an influencer. So I'm kind of in this gray zone of both. And so I'm really feeling like from a mentor, I would love a mentor who is physically in the day to day of a seven or eight figure business themselves to be like, okay, not necessarily gone through the schooling of being a coach, but who has the life experience of being a business mentor or coach and has been through it themselves. So I think I found with my last two business coaches, they were both extremely wonderful. And I have nothing but positive things to say about them and a positive experience. But like at the ends of our sessions, I was just finding like I was outgrowing them. And like I had learned what I learned when I needed to learn it, but I needed to like level up. And I just feel like I'm struggling finding that like level up coach that is doing it or has done it themselves that could come full circle to coach or mentor. It sounds so funny to say, but like I've never been a CEO before. I've never like ran a multi like I did in my last business, but it was like way different than this business. And like I don't like what does a CEO SOP look like? I don't know. I better Google it. Like, what do those things look like? And like, what are the questions as a CEO I should be asking myself or my team? And so I think that definitely is a struggle.
And learning where to find those resources. I know, I often felt like I needed to find my sounding boards who were away from the business because the bigger the business got, the more I felt the pressure to present myself as a leader and not look like I was figuring it out as I went along.
Absolutely, 100%. That's like I come home and I'm just like mom Kristy, but then I go to work and I'm like CEO Kristy Miller. But I'm like, I don't even know. Do people think I'm doing a good job as a CEO? I don't know. I must be because the financial data is telling me I'm doing a good job. But I'm like, what am I missing as a CEO that I think that a business mentor or business coach could really help and guide in that direction? In 5 years, I want to be an eight, nine figure business. And like, I want to dream a size too big, but like, I need to make sure that my foundation of my business and of my brand is there and supported successfully in order to make that leap.
And when you're making leaps, how do you decide what to hang on to, what to make really important, and how to decide what to let go of? Because we need to let go of things we might not want to as our business grows. How do you decide?
I used to decide with a gut feeling, right from my gut, based on no data whatsoever. And I think since my Dragon's Den episode, it's really like gave me the kick in the butt I needed to get the numbers in front of me, get the reports in front of me, start making. I mean, obviously, my gut is good and I'll always rely on it to some degree, but I learned to start looking at the numbers and the analytics and really reading them and putting time and effort into learning which ones I need to look at every day, which ones I need to look at every month, and like really letting them be my guiding star to, okay, let's make this leap. But like, what do the reports or what do the analytics tell me? I also think it's very important to have a bookkeeper and or an accountant on a daily basis as your phone a friend because I learned going from I had my head down in my single car garage in 2019 doing $1 million in sales, not even knowing I hit $1 million in sales because I was so knee deep in the making. I was like, I looked up one day and I was like, oh, our sales are over $1 million. But like having the support of a really great, I mean, my bookkeeper is amazing. I say, hey, I want to open a new store in the Blue Mountain Village. She walks me through all the numbers we need to know. She walks me through all the financial data that we need to compile, and then what sales look like and what our forecasts are, and if it is even a financially responsible decision to open a new retail store. I mean, in the midst of an economic crisis, what does that look like? And so I think having the right people around you and the right data in front of you is easier to make a gut decision than not having the support.
In the gut decision making days, as the business got bigger and the decisions were harder, did you find it took you longer to make them?
I want to say yes, but the true answer is no, because I was really a risk taker and I was a
Right.
trigger puller.
So you were like, boom,
I
let's
was
go.
an instant. If you messaged me and said, Kristy, you should sell bath bombs because your candles are amazing. Next week later, I was launching bath bombs. Like that's literally, and like I stayed up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to figure out how to make a bath bomb. But like that is like how fast we were moving. And like honestly, Julie, we went from $500,000 to over $2 million in less than a year because I was making decisions that snapping fast.
And that is, as you know, not a, well, the revenue growth part is sustainable, but the 24/7 schedule is not a sustainable way for you to grow a business.
Well, and interestingly enough, my husband, my kids, my 2-year-old boy at the time was helping stick wicks to jars, and so I called my bookkeeper up one day and I was like, hey, like, when can I hire my first employee? Because I don't even know like if I can afford one or like I'm working too much. And she literally was like, well, let's see what the numbers tell us. And I was like, well, what do you mean? What numbers? Like, she's like, well, if you want to pay someone $60,000 a year, do you have $60,000 a year to give up and pay someone? And I was like, oh, it clicked immediately. I was like, oh, okay. I have to pay people, which means I have to have the revenue and the money. And like since that literal conversation that day, I like haven't stopped building a team since. And like even now when we sit down for our monthly meetings, we're like, okay, what is in the budget for next year for growth? Does it look like outsourcing growth? Does it look like we can hire a full-time in-house person? Like what we're always like pre-planning for the growth, and that includes like wages and infrastructure in the company as well.
And that's the interesting, I think,
Mm.
secret sauce of the gut combining with the facts and the numbers to really help you make great decisions.
Yeah, there's definitely a real balance between like listening to both. The gut is the heart and like what feels right. But I always, no matter what decision I make, personally or professionally, I always start with, is this good for the brand? I mean, even in my personal life, if I'm doing something or, I'm going to an event and I'm wearing something, I'm like, am I on brand? Are these colors on brand? It's all like I am brand obsessed, but like that's such a great thing because I'm always considering the impact on the brand. And I think that the scented market, has really great brand value. And I think it's because it's always in the back of my mind. It's always on my mind on a day to day.
Yeah. And then your customers become really brand loyal.
We do have brand evangelists. Absolutely. I always keep circling around like, what can I do? What event can I host? And just invite our brand evangelists just for fun because these women are absolutely incredible. And I think it says something because every time I go to a networking event or I go to the mall, I'll have someone come up and they'll be like, you don't know me, but I used to pick up candles from your bin at your house in the front of your driveway. And like, it's been incredible watching your journey. So, like, as much as society tells us to watch the negative, look at this bad thing happen to this person, like, I've really created an incredible community around the candle based on positivity, uplifting comments, a very like a community you want to belong to because it's just a lot of fun and it's very positive. And I think like I hold my community very sacred and very valued. I'm so grateful them because they are truly the drivers of the brand and they're incredible.
That's such a great thing to have behind you.
Yeah, I mean, I attribute a lot of our success too to like I knew from day one exactly who our target audience was. It was me. I never ever veered from that, like, oh, I can capture everybody. I was always laser focused every day on who my customer was. And I went after them, I sought after them. So, like a great example of, oh, I buy my candles at the dollar store. And I'm like, that's great. Like, all the power to you. That's your zone. But like, you are not my customer. I'm not going to put advertising dollars. I'm not going to not a waste of time, but I'm not going to try to attract someone who's not my customer. And I've always been laser focused from day one because I recognize the value of not trying to sell to everyone. Niche down to who your people are, and that's where you'll be the most successful.
And so, what does 2024 have in store for the scented market?
Well, so October 2023, we opened our Blue Mountain store and we moved to a new manufacturing facility that's 5 times the size of our existing manufacturing facility. So in that move, we were able to hire 4 more full-time people, local people, local women actually. And I think 2024 we are still on track for some incredible growth, but also just like looking at our hero products, looking at our hero SKUs, really being dialed in on what we're great at and eliminating the frills. Because I think that, I was just at an economic outlook this morning actually. And although on the news it's negative, the impact was very positive and very positive things for our economy. So it really gave me hope that in the short term we might feel a squeeze or a pinch, but coming into late 2024 things are going to really open up, and I think the economy is going to really turn around and do wonderful things. And I just want to be able to support people in their self-care at home. I want to elevate their everyday. I want them to indulge in the sensory experience and really be there for them and be customer focused and customer driven to show to show them that we really do care about our community and making sure that they're every day they're taking even if it's 3 seconds of self-care time or some time to themselves, whether that looks like reading a book or lighting a candle or having a bath, really focusing in on the things that matter.
That's great because I'm very interested to continue watching your journey and buy your products because they really are fantastic.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing about your journey. It's been a real treat. Thanks, Kristy.
Thanks, Julie.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you won't miss any episodes. Figure 8 isn't just a podcast. It's a way of seeing the big, gorgeous goals of women entrepreneurs coming to life. If you're interested in learning more, you can find my book, Big Gorgeous Goals, on Amazon anywhere you might live. For more about my growth and leadership training programs, visit www.julieellis.ca to see how we might work together. Read my blog or sign up to get your free diagnostic. Are you ready for growth? Once again, that's www.julieellis.ca. When we work together, we all win. See you again soon for another episode of Figure 8.